Hello, everyone, and of course, welcome back to another very special episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And ish.
Alrighty, then, as always, you already know if you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast so more people can tune in to us talking some ish with you guys. If you are on YouTube, please make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bells for
Ding.
future shows in advance. Thank you there, Ish, for that. Thank you for that.
Bro, I'm on the
And
ball this week because last
hey,
week you were getting on me.
I appreciate you for learning from your mistakes. Hopefully, some of these NFL athletes have learned, and we'll talk about that very, very shortly. And again, if you are on Twitter, please make sure you follow my Twitter page at X_Williams81 for our live feed, and of course, our X Talking Ish Twitter page. You can go ahead and follow that for other NFL updates as well. So, Ish, the news heard around the world. I am actually on the West Coast at the moment. So at the moment it is 7 o'clock. But when I woke up this morning, 7 in the morning, boy, was there some big news. And of course, Ish, go ahead and bring it up for your boy. I mean,
I
Cam
mean,
and Mac Jones, the biggest news. Cam is no longer a New England Patriot, and Mac Jones will be starting week 1.
I don't understand why this was like news to everyone. I don't know, understand why everybody was getting all surprised, acting like, wow, they actually released Cam Newton. I mean, I feel like I've been talking about it for weeks. I've been talking about how it was a bad fit from the beginning, how I don't understand why he went back the second time, how I mean, I just didn't have faith in him and in the system. And then, they let him go. Apparently, Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels were seeing the same thing that I saw. It's not an upgrade to have Cam in that system. I'm sorry. I think Mac Jones and Cam Newton at the moment are pretty level. I don't think that they dropped Cam because Mac Jones is better than Cam per se. I think they dropped him because at the moment there is no downside to starting Mac Jones as opposed to Cam Newton. And everybody saying like, oh well, why they release him? I think they offered it for him to stay and be the backup, but if you're Cam Newton, why stay and be the backup when there's no way you're gonna start after this kid? I think Brian Hoyer is better for that position anyway.
Well, a lot of the news that's coming around or surrounding this whole release of Cam Newton, of like you said, Ish, is some people feel like for Cam, this is a great thing. Get a fresh start somewhere, maybe come back home to Georgia, or maybe even come back home to his junior college home, Blinn, Texas, aka maybe the Cowboys, and maybe get a backup role with Dak and do that. But like you said, and also like our guy Casey McKinney, who was joined us last week on our episode, he says Cam isn't going to be a backup. He also says they let him walk instead of trading him so he can pick where he goes. And we know in New England they don't really let you do that very often. So for Cam to get the opportunity to go where he goes at this moment, let's be real. The season is a week away. He's not going to join the team right now and start week 1. It's not going to happen. So the best bet for Cam is to maybe join a team that allows you to maybe slide in there for a couple of games due to somebody's help or because of the same skill set. They might need you to fill in for a role there. But like Casey is saying, and also you, Ish, it's very hard and humbling for a guy like Cam Newton to go from a starter most of his life and then be a backup, especially to a rookie.
Well, anywhere he goes right now, he's going to be a backup. There is no starting job available in the NFL at the moment. There are a couple of spots that he can go to, and it may be alluded to later on in the show when we talk about the hot seats. There are a couple of spots he can go to where he can put some pressure on the starter. But to be honest with you, there is no starting job for him. I mean, one of the places that I immediately thought, which I don't hear much buzz, but for me, I wouldn't put it past them because they're a train wreck waiting to happen, is New England South or wannabe New England South.
The
The,
Houston
the
Texans.
Houston Texans. I
Now,
mean,
you might not have heard anything, but best believe I heard from my Houston Texans fans that Why not Cam come to Houston? But I said Houston already has 17 quarterbacks. Why
Yeah,
do
why
Houston
add
need
Cam to
to
that?
add another quarterback? I don't see it.
Maybe they'll treat it like the running back position and bring on another guy because obviously you
You
can't
ain't
have
lying
too
on that.
many.
You ain't lying on that. I mean, we just have to wait and see. I don't think it happens. I don't see the Texans making that call out to Cam, but
I
what
hope
other
not.
team would, right? I mean, just looking around,
Well,
historically, the Browns would be the number one answer, right? Usually it's the Browns don't have a quarterback. Surprisingly, this year they do, or they have their guy. Maybe Jacksonville, but they have their guy. Maybe even a team out west like a Chargers or the Raiders, but they have their guys. So it's just very interesting for the first time. Again, in Cam Newton's career, he's stuck. He's stuck like Chuck. He's not going to be able to go where he wants to go. He's going to either have to eat some humble pie and say, I'm going to have to take this backseat role opportunity right now for this upcoming season. Or if you want to be, that people feel like you're a diva and feels like, you want it your way. If you want to sit out a whole season and say, hey, I'm not going to play until I become a starter again, that's on Cam. I doubt that happens. I'm just throwing out those options. So go ahead and get to the comment section right quick. Lee says, be the 33rd quarterback in the league, wait for an injury or something to occur throughout the year, and he may be the first call, is what the NFL love folks were saying. I agree. KC says he's not going to have a job until someone gets hurt. I mean, we're all on the same page pretty much on
yeah.
what's going to happen with Cam. I think, though, with this situation a little bit different, I don't think he can afford to sit out and wait for that call because, and again, I could be wrong because last week I just said yes, he did do enough, and again, y'all can quote me. I'm quoting myself. I said that he did enough last season coming into this season to be the starter for the New England Patriots. I was wrong on that. I have no problems coming on here and saying, hey, X was wrong. So that will put me in a rock and a hard place saying that, man, Cam right now don't have enough body of work to translate to a new team to say, hey, you can plug and play him, right? That's the problem with Cam right now is you are on the back end of your career to where this is not this is not MVP Cam Newton, and we can say, you know what, we can just plug and play him anywhere, and as long as we have one or two pieces, we know that he can get us to at least maybe an opportunity to get to a conference championship game. Right now, Cam, you're looked at as a liability, and that's something that nobody wants to have in any sport: football, basketball, baseball, golf, hockey, whatever. You do not want to be a liability towards your team and saying, you know what, I mean, you're talented, but we want you to play, but.
Well, I think it's a really good point that you made because while I agree with Casey and I agree with Lee that, yeah, he's going to have to wait until somebody gets hurt and then, you can pick up and go in wherever that spot is. One thing that I do feel like people aren't talking about is, yeah, so you wait until someone gets hurt, right? But the problem with Cam Newton that I see and that I don't like about this whole scenario of waiting until someone gets hurt is that Cam's not the kind of guy that you just plug into a system, right? Because Cam doesn't fit every system. Cam comes with, you got to run the ball a little bit more with Cam. You got to have some design quarterback runs with him. He doesn't make all the throws like he used to make. That was one of the big things last year that we didn't see. Sure, people can say, oh, he didn't have the weapons, but I'm going to argue with you that even if he has the weapons, I don't think Cam is going to make those throws. And even if he makes them here or there, it won't be consistent enough to say, yeah, I can bring a Cam Newton in, fit him into any system, and it's going to work. I just don't think that's the situation you have with Cam Newton, right? So depending on who it is that gets hurt, if I'm a certain team, I might ride with the backup I have that knows the playbook rather than bringing a Cam Newton in. And that's an unpopular opinion. I know some people may think like, oh, Cam Newton is better than most of the backups in the league, if not all the backups. I don't know. I'd rather have a guy that knows the system that I don't have to teach, that I don't have to change the offense for in certain situations, than to bring in a Cam Newton and have to change some things around.
Casey says, "Oh, I didn't say he should get a job when someone gets hurt." I mean,
Yeah.
I, let's just touch on Cam a little bit on the places that he could end up. I said earlier this morning, I had a couple people ask us on our Facebook page, where do you think Cam could land? I said, well, one spot we're definitely forgetting is, why not Washington football team? Why not go back to Ron Rivera? I mean, you're making faces. I understand, but I'm just saying, why not go back with your old coach, Ron Rivera? You have Ryan Fitzpatrick. We know who he is. He's going to play well for the most part, but then he's going to have some stinkers. Maybe, again, because of older age, maybe he might have like a hairline fracture somewhere, a messed up shoulder, whatever it is, that maybe Cam can slide in for 5 or 6 games to prove himself again, to maybe get another opportunity next season. So that was one of the teams that I did throw out there. Also, Dallas.
Real quick, can I say to the Washington point? That's one where I would say, yeah, hold out, don't sign with them, because the point that I was just making, actually, that is the one spot that you could say they already know him, they're familiar with him. If let's say Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt, you can bring a Cam Newton in as a free agent and expect him to hit the ground running because they've worked together before, because they're aware of his skill sets. So I would rather wait out than to just go immediately to them. But yeah, that is one.
Okay, so what we are both pretty much saying that a lot of people don't say that are not in the NFL realm is, this is more of a business decision than it is the athletic ability of where Cam is right now when it comes to bringing him in for his next team. I'm not talking about cutting him from the page. I'm talking about where he might land for his next team. This is more, it seems like, a business deal, getting him in with the right team at the right cost. Because that's what the Patriots were able to do, bringing him in the first place on the 1-year deal last year, now the 1-year deal again, to where, and you said this last week, Ish, you're pretty much bringing him in for nothing, and if you let him go, it's not a big deal. And moving forward with the Patriots, they now are able to hitch their wagon to this rookie contract with Mac Jones and say, hey, we're all in. And if we fail, hey, we fail. If not, which we don't think we will, because we think that this guy is more advanced than any rookie quarterback we've ever had here with the Patriots since Tom Brady. That's saying something. Let's not forget about Bill Belichick and Nick Saban's ties one another as coaches. I'm not saying they're best buddies, but they know one another well enough to make a phone call, Bill Belichick, to say, hey, Nick, how is Mac Jones? And I'm pretty sure he's been able to get the good and the bad on Mac Jones. And one thing I have heard, I'll finish it up with this. I've heard things about Mac Jones is he knows who he is. And sometimes with not just quarterbacks, but with players in general, and you know this since high school-ish, there's some players that, as a wide receiver, you know you're not fast. You know you're not fast. You know you can't jump out the gym. So stop trying to run a 4.3 and trying to hurt yourself when you need to work more on being a precise route runner and being able to catch the ball more efficiently. And with Mac Jones, he knows who he is. He might not be able to throw the ball 55 yards down the field like a Patrick Mahomes or Justin Herbert, but he knows he makes the right plays. He knows he's not going to create turnovers. He knows he's going to be efficient. And from what I'm hearing in Foxborough, they see a baby version of, that guy that's going to come in week 4 and play against them. I'm not going to name his name. I'm just saying we have to #wait and see what happens week 4, because on this show I did say maybe we might see the switch of Cam Newton to Mac Jones by week 4, depending on what happens with Tom Brady. But guess what? The NFL said, you know what? We're going to set the script up right now, son. We ain't going to wait until week 4. We're going to wait week before the season starts and let you know that that Mac Jones will be week 4 starter against Tom Brady, and we will see this spectacular event of the GOAT versus maybe new baby GOAT, because a lot of Patriot fans thought it was Jarrett Stidham who was going to be baby GOAT. Maybe it could be Mac Jones. We have to wait and see.
sure.
Just saying. All right, people that's tuning in tonight, how about y'all let us know I want to hear y'all opinion on where you think Cam Newton will land after being released with the New England Patriots. I'm very interested to hear that. Minnesota, that's very interesting. That definitely is a segue moving forward to our hot seat takes. Who's on the hot seat this upcoming NFL season? It's not just players; it's also coaches and executives as well. All right, so let's go ahead and move forward for tonight, and let's talk a little bit about the quarterback competitions again around the NFL, wrapping up for the most part. And of course, we already know that Zach Wilson, let's go ahead and speak on him just a tad. We already know that Zach Wilson, of course, is going to be that guy for the Jets. We spoke a little bit of him for the last couple of weeks and how he's performed over the preseason. Just your initial take on how you feel about Zach Wilson and what he's done this preseason-ish.
I think he's done a great job. I'm excited to see him in the regular season. I'm excited for the Jets' future. And hey, man, it's a new era in the AFC East with all of these young guys starting at quarterback. So I definitely feel like that division, more so than in a number of years, while it is Josh Allen and then everyone else, it's a little bit more up for grabs, I feel like. So I'm excited to see what goes on in that division.
See, surprisingly, you saying this because, again, I'm not going to quote him, but Mr. Dan Orlovsky, everybody's favorite armchair quarterback on ESPN right now, he said that with Mac Jones now the quarterback for the New England Patriots, it elevates them to not just top 1 or 2 in their division, but apparently top 4 in the conference of the AFC. I'm not going to put them above Baltimore. I'm not going to put them above Tennessee. I'm not going to put them above some of those teams on the outside of the Chiefs and the Bills, because that to me is just plain just idiotic. But if it is true that Mac Jones is that guy, do you feel like the Patriots will be able to overtake this division once again? Because you did say that the division is wide open, a little bit more wide open than it used to be. So will the Patriots reclaim the AFC East?
I don't think they reclaim the AFC East. I still think the Bills are too far ahead some of these other teams. Now, they could slip in front of the Dolphins. I definitely see them finishing in front of the Jets. While I am excited about Zach Wilson, I don't necessarily feel like Zach Wilson is going to make that big a change for the Jets. There's a lot of things that need to be fixed in New York. So I'm not expecting New York to be, I don't even think in the top 3. I'll be a surprise if they make it to the top 3 of the division. And then with Tua in Miami, he was too up and down last year. I want to wait and see what he does now that he is for sure the starter. He doesn't have Fitzmagic to come in for him anymore. So I do think that Mac Jones, like you said, knowing who he is, being in that system that they have in New England, I think that he could get them there in the second spot, maybe push the Bills a little bit, but I still think the Bills, it's their conference their division to lose.
All right, let's get back to the comment section right quick. Casey says Cam isn't vaccinated either, so not Minnesota.
Darn it.
We'll see what happened with Minnesota. This definitely is true. Uncle Jason tuning in. He says horrible decision by Belichick. He said Cam might retire. He also says people are getting too hyped over a young quarterback against a vanilla defense. I'm just saying. He also said that's ridiculous about what Dan Orlovsky said. They're third in the division. Dolphins guaranteed money week 1. All right. We have to wait and see what happens after week 1. It's going to be a lot of very interesting matchups week 1 to see how teams come out of the gate. And I've said this already on shows previously, and I'll always say this. I don't take teams seriously until after week 6 anyway. So just because a team goes 6-0 like the Steelers last year doesn't mean that they will make it to a Super Bowl or do anything in the playoffs. Again, as we've seen what happened with last year. So we'll see what happens with that. But anyways, we'll go ahead and move along from the AFC East and jump right into the NFC North with Mr. Justin Fields, the hottest quarterback, or the hottest backup quarterback at the moment, who probably could be quarterback one by week one, but at the moment it is the Red Pistol Rockets from Katy, Texas, Mr. Of course, Andy Dalton. Ish, how do you feel about Justin Fields and his preseason and what he was able to accomplish this preseason?
I mean, I feel good about Justin Fields. I feel like he brought something different to the Bears offense, honestly. I don't see what the Bears are doing with Andy Dalton starting. Justin Fields offers the best chance to win for Chicago. Again, I will say if I'm Khalil Mack, if I'm anybody on that team, your years are limited in this league. Why waste any games, any time with Andy Dalton as your starting quarterback when we know that Justin Fields is obviously the guy in Chicago? So not that I think that he's going to go in there and set the world alight. I think that he's going to make some exciting plays. He's going to make some mistakes as well. But I do think he is the best chance for the Bears to win right now. So hopefully they get him in sooner rather than later and don't try to keep Andy Dalton in there for some seniority or some we made a promise to you kind of thing.
Yes, they're going crazy in the comment section right quick. I think they misheard me when I said KC says he said 6-0 for the Steelers. They went 11-0. Yes, I do know that. I was saying if you go 6-0 the first 6 weeks of the season, I don't take you seriously. Just like the Steelers went 11-0 last season and didn't do anything in the playoffs. So if y'all misheard me, it's okay. I'm gonna clarify for y'all so we don't have to make it look like I'm an idiot because I'm not. Know what I'm talking about. So with that being said, it's all good. I love you too, Casey. He says just trolling. I appreciate you. I love you too. But but seriously though, again, just to reiterate what the Steelers did and what we talked about with the Bears, the Steelers, not just with them, but teams prior to. We see what happens the first half of the season, not just with NFL, but MLB and also the NBA, and teams look completely different after that break. With translating into the Chicago Bears, Andy Dalton's on a very, very short leash. He's going to have that 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks. You know, you talked about Khalil Mack and that Chicago defense. It is a Super Bowl contending defense. A lot of people feel like it can get them to a Super Bowl. They just need a quarterback that can help them get there. And a lot of people in Chicago feels like it is Justin Fields. The question is what needs to happen for Andy Dalton to get pulled, besides an injury, to get pulled for Justin Fields to come in, Ish?
What needs to happen? Shoot, a 3-and-out.
Here you go.
Hey, I'm
okay.
Okay, I'm just saying a 3-and-out.
What happens? Okay, let's be serious. What happens if they score 3 points week one?
If they score 3 points, if they are going into halftime and they only have 3 points or they have 0 points, Justin Fields should come into the game. Like I said, a 3-and-out, and I'm probably pulling him out of the game. I'm just being fair. One bad throw, I might just be like, "That's your drive."
Andy Dalton isn't on that bad child at the mall leash. He on that pit bull. He on that pit bull. You gotta hold him tight. You gotta hold him tight type of leash. That's what you're saying.
He's on the Tom Savage leash. Okay, they are doing the same thing the Texans did when everybody knew Deshaun Watson was the guy, and for some reason Bill O'Brien said, "Oh,
we all know how great Bill O'Brien as a coach is." So, he's the offensive coordinator for Alabama, so he must be good, right?
Hey,
it's a joke, everybody. It's a joke. Let me clarify that up before somebody comes in the comment section and get on me. It's a joke, everybody.
Like I said, a 3-and-out, and I'll probably pull them. I would not be surprised if they have no points going into halftime and it doesn't look good on the offensive side of the ball, depending on how the defense is playing, to see Justin Fields enter in week one. All right, that's how short his leash is.
All right, let's get to the comment section. Christine Robichaux says, I give Andy 4 weeks.
4 weeks? Man, you too nice, Christine. I thought you were better than that.
Ooh, KC says, Andy going to end up in that 10th week 1. Jason says, no way he lasts 4 weeks. KC says, 33-10 week 1. We got wins and we got scores out here on this show. Ashton Weatherspoon says, if the offense struggles after week 2, Dalton gets the hook. Jason also says Bears GM and coach on the hot seat. Trust me, Uncle Jason, we will get to that very, very shortly. Casey McKinney says Nagy is a top contender for first coach to be fired. And Uncle Jason also said desperate times call for desperate measures. So looks like we're all on the same page when it comes to what's going on in Chicago. You better get it done quickly, Coach Nagy, or they could be pulling your ass up out of there. Maybe you end up back in the motherland, aka Kansas City. Maybe as another coordinator again.
Maybe so.
We have to wait and see on that one. All right, let's go back to another little competition that really probably shouldn't be a competition anymore. Jimmy G versus Trey Lance. This is, I think, is another quarterback competition that everybody loves the backup more than they love the starter. But when you do look at the numbers, when Jimmy G does start, the 49ers do win. And it's very hard to argue against that, especially when a guy like Trey Lance haven't played football really. And I'm not even talking about just his last season. He hasn't played a full season in a couple of years. And again, if you talk about the level of competition he played against, that's something that you can factor in and say, hey, maybe he needs to wait. I'm not saying not play him, I'm just saying maybe he needs to wait. But there already are reports coming out of San Francisco saying that most likely they're going to probably use Trey Lance throughout the season in different packages. Ish, I see you shaking your head over there. Doesn't seem like you're too happy about that. Can you go ahead and elaborate for me?
No, I'm not happy. If you watch this show and you've been watching for the past couple of weeks, even before the draft happened, I have already stated my position, and I am still firm in that position that you ride with Jimmy G until Jimmy G shows you that he's not the guy. I mean, he has done nothing for you to warrant putting a guy that played at North Dakota State, hasn't played a whole year and a half or whatever, to start in the NFL or to even play snaps. Like, why are we doing this in San Francisco? I just feel like we get too excited about these first round quarterbacks and putting the pressure on them playing in their first year. Like, ride with Jimmy G until he shows you he's not the guy. Because he, like you said, when he plays and he starts, they win games. And you can't fault him for the team being hurt, for them having all the injuries that they had and not looking as good as they. I mean, I still thought that they looked pretty decent last year, even with all the injuries. So why not give him a chance with the healthy team and not rush your rookie quarterback? I mean, Trey Lance is going to have plenty of time. Let's just wait and cool the brakes, man. Pump the brakes a little bit, man. But hey, the pressure's there. People want to see Trey Lance for some reason. I mean, if they talk about this split and snaps thing, I mean, it's going to continue to anger me because I don't want to see it, but they're going to do it anyway. So I'm going to sit back. I'm going to watch them, let him throw picks, and then I'm going to see what they do. Because if he split snaps and he does poorly, then what do you do? What do you fall back on?
Just to piggyback on what you're saying, is like you said, if he comes out there and struggles, especially, I'm not saying his rookie season really, really matters. We've seen people come in and have okay rookie seasons and light it up, moving forward in an NFL career. We've seen NFL players play great their rookie season and play trash the rest of their season, the rest of their career, right? So that's injuries, but unfortunately. But anyway, so with Trey Lance, I definitely agree with you when it comes to, you don't want him to come in. Jimmy G's playing well, and then also you bring in Trey Lance, and he comes in there and throws an interception. He fumbles the ball. He makes a ill-advised throw, and now all of a sudden his confidence is dropping. And instead of building him up, now all of a sudden he's questioning himself on, am I even good enough to be here? Am I going to be a backup for the rest of my NFL career? Those are things that you don't want to have creep in, because that doubt creeping in, because I'll just use, of course, Patrick Mahomes, everybody's favorite son of the NFL right now. When he was a backup for Alex Smith, I apologize. Everybody that talked about Patrick Mahomes, they said that, look, this guy has everything. Confidence, he has this, he has that. We know, like, he knows and we know he's next. I haven't heard that yet from Trey Lance. I've heard inconsistent. I've heard he's good, but it still needs, a little bit more work. He can be the guy, but right now he's just not ready. We seen Mac Jones is able to take that leap, right? Being able to be starter week one. We're going to see Trevor Lawrence start week one. We'll get into him very shortly and see if he's able to take on this onslaught of just a beating. He's going to take a beating this upcoming season. But at least with Trevor Lawrence, he knows what he's getting himself into, right? With Trey Lance, this could be a roller coaster type of a season to where he might play poorly throughout the season, and all of a sudden, bam, he gets thrusted into a starting position. Maybe first playoff game, first week of the playoffs. First playoff game is the first game that he has played because Jimmy G's hurt. Imagine the anxiety that has to come amongst him because he's not ready because of the season that he had. His rookie season leading up to that playoff game. It's very interesting to see this quarterback race continue to happen. I still have always had Jimmy G quarterback 1 week 1, but I'm very interested to see what they do with Trey Lance throughout the season.
Well, one last thing before we move on, I just want to touch on real quickly that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about is locker room morale and just kind of feeling the feelings in the locker room, creating animosity among teammates. Because if Jimmy G is rolling and for some reason y'all decide you want to put Trey Lance in just because you want to give him these package plays, gadget plays, as we remember what happened with Joe Flacco when they were putting what's his name in there, and he was saying like, oh, it's like a high school gadget play kind of thing. Mm-hmm. If you start doing that and they're not successful, what kind of animosity does that create? What kind of locker room atmosphere does that create when this team, regardless of what people think about them from last year, this team is a playoff contending team. So if you start giving up, killing drives because of this, if you start creating turnovers because of this, how does that affect the locker room, and how does that affect the support for Trey Lance in that locker room as far as like what he's doing and moving forward? So that's one thing that I think you got to think about. You have a guy that he hasn't done anything to prove that he isn't the guy. So let's ride with him and give him that opportunity to show, the fans, show his teammates like, hey, he doesn't happen to be the guy that can get us to the Super Bowl. And then I would throw Trey Lance in, but I wouldn't just do it just because, right?
And I'm happy you bring that up because, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it was the same thing that was going on in New England. From what I've heard, like you said, with the locker room, unfortunately, when Cam missed time due to COVID and Mac Jones was able to run that team with that joint practice with the Giants, they said that it felt like Tom Brady didn't leave. This is from the players. And when the players are saying that about a rookie, a guy like Mac Jones who hasn't had any experience in the NFL, is very telling. Like you said, if because it can go both ways. If Jimmy G's playing well and the locker room's all like, bro, don't you even think about putting Trey Lance in to mess up what we got going on, everything's gonna be fine and dandy. But if Jimmy G is rocky and he's not playing well, and like you said, they're 6-3, 6-4, after 10 weeks, and the 49ers as a team say, hey, this guy gives us an opportunity to play better on offense. Let's see what he can do. Let's try to salvage the back half of this season, and let's make a run at it. And he actually does that. Jimmy G's out of here. Like, that's what I see. So I agree with you. It's man, look, San Francisco, they're going to be in for a wild one. It's going to be very interesting. KC also says Lions and Eagles week 1 and 2, they're going to be rolling as they should. Jason says, why rush Lance? Yeah, I agree. We have to just let Jimmy do what he's supposed to do. Who knows? Maybe the Lions might shock the world week 1. Maybe Jared Goff and the Lions might shock the world again. So we have to wait and see. All righty then. Let's go ahead and wrap it up with the number 1 pick in the draft and our lovable Jacksonville Jaguars, because it seems like what can go wrong with the Jacksonville Jaguars usually does. So we'll touch on Trevor Lawrence right quick, and then we'll go into the new reports of the Jacksonville, Urban Meyer and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Trevor Lawrence played a lot better this last game compared to his first 2 preseason games, and before this before this last preseason game started, he was named quarterback 1 for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and also the same week, Gardner Minshew got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Surprisingly, again, it seems like with the NFL, it seems like every day is something crazy happening, and to see Gardner Minshew go from battling out for the starting quarterback here with Jacksonville, then all of a sudden now you're becoming the third string quarterback in Philly. It was very interesting. It seems like, and the reason why I'm bunching this together with Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars, it seems like there's some things that are unraveling in Jacksonville that we are not getting all the full story on. And if you want to piggyback with me on this when it comes to Trevor Lawrence is just like that little kid that's in the middle of a parent's divorce when it comes to he wants to do the right thing, but he's getting pulled in both ways and it's not his fault. And he's just literally just in the way of everything that's going on. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think Gardner Minshew sees the ship sinking in Jacksonville and was like, bruh, get me up out of here before y'all mess up the rest of my maybe small NFL career that I have left. And unfortunately with Trevor Lawrence, he can't do that just yet. But every 2 or 3 weeks in the offseason, we've heard something with with Urban Meyer and his coaching staff. Last couple of weeks, we've heard something with Urban Meyer in the way that he conducts practice or just conduct whatever he does in the NFL realm. And unfortunately, it seems like this Urban Meyer era is going to end sooner than later. Ish?
I don't know. I do think the Urban Meyer era. I don't know. I didn't have much faith in him to begin with. However, I do want to say that I don't think that Gardner Minshew necessarily asked to be traded or saw the writing on the wall. I think that Gardner Minshew, for me, they got rid of him, or Urban got rid of him, because there were questions, or there were a small segment of the fan base that was like, hey, Gardner, you said it's a competition, give Gardner opportunity. And you don't want the questions, right? You don't want the rookie franchise guy to perform poorly, as he was performing poorly the first 2 games in the preseason against like very basic defenses, right? But it's just it's a point to the fact that the offensive line is bad. He was performing poorly, and then you got Gardner Minshew, who wasn't lighting the world on fire, but he performed okay last year for them. He's been performing okay. He's decent, right? You don't want to hear the whispers. If he goes out there and he stinks it up, you don't want people whispering anything or saying, hey, let Gardner get back in there, give him a shot. So you trade Gardner Minshew away. Now hey, we're going 100 with Trevor Lawrence. We're rocking with him. No matter what, he's going to play through all the mistakes. He's going to play through the ups and downs. This is his team. He will outlive Urban Meyer. So I'm not concerned about what nonsense Urban Meyer is doing, signing Tim Tebow, doing whatever else he wants to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars, because at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the Jacksonville Jaguars. It is Trevor Lawrence's team. It doesn't matter who the coach is. If Urban Meyer gets fired, oh well, then Trevor Lawrence can maybe have a say in who they bring in next. But I think that Trevor Lawrence, he's going to have a rocky year. He's going to play through this year. He's going to be riding with his good friend Urban Meyer, and we'll see what Urban does. I don't know what to expect from them, to be honest.
I went ahead and put a quick little ticker on the bottom for everybody that's tuning in. I've said Urban Meyer is going to be fired over under week 10. So y'all out there that's tuning in, go ahead and let us know. Do you think Urban Meyer will be fired before week 10? Or do you think he'll be fired after week 10?
I don't think he gets fired after the season.
You think you think he is fired after the season?
I don't think he gets fired this season. I don't care
so
how bad
no matter how the record is, 0-17 still keep the job.
They're going to keep him. 0-17, they'll keep him.
I need to hear what everybody else has to say on that one, because I am appalled. I am appalled if you think that, because again, it's different if it was a NFL coach that's been in the NFL realm to come in and go 0-17, because again, trying to get your teams together, trying to do this, that, and the third. But for Urban Meyer to have the arrogance to come in and think that he can just hop in this, knowing that you haven't coached in a couple of years now, and also health concerns, and think that this is just easy. And then, like you said, to have the audacity to bring in a quarterback to come in and play tight end, and then hire a coach that has had coaching issues from his previous coaching stint.
You're making all the points as to why he won't be fired. Because let me just say it like this, okay? A coach like that, like all the points that you're making, he's not walking on eggshells. Why do you think that he has made some of the moves he's done? Why do you think he speaks to the media the way he does? Why do you think he is, at all doing what he's doing? Because they have given him the reins in Jacksonville. They have told him, go do what you want to do. We gave you the keys. We believe in you. They will ride with Urban Meyer. I told you this. I think we were chatting or we were texting or something. And I told you, I was like, they will ride with that man to the ground. Will ride, and then underground. They will ride with him all the way under the ground and then some. So he doesn't get fired this season. I don't even know if he gets fired next season. They may give him 2 years to see what he does. I just don't think that. I think you don't like what he's doing, and you think that it's
I
bad.
just don't understand how you can be in an organization that allows you to be trash and still get compensated for it. That's all. If that's the case, you're right. It's just, what's the point of trying out here? Let's just not even try anymore and just make millions of dollars for being trash. How about we just do that?
Hey, they're giving him the opportunity to turn the team around. He's building the team and the organization in his image, whatever that image is. I don't know. I don't necessarily like it when you're bringing Tim Tebow in, but they're giving him the opportunity to build it in his image, and he's going to get a couple years to do it. I mean, he's going to get maybe 2-3 years before they really start to think about it. Maybe in the third year, if they're still doing bad, they're not seeing progress, they say, okay, we're going to fire you in the middle of the season. But I definitely don't think the first season he's going to get fired. I don't even think the second season, unless it is atrocious. And I mean atrocious, but the good thing for them, they play the organization that is here in Houston twice a year. So at least if you finish in front of them, you're doing something positive, right?
Like, you remind everybody, what's that team we call
the
in the city we call Houston?
I'm not calling them a team. The organization here because really they're just a business that is masquerading as a football organization, but they're not. They're just some business that does random things.
They make a lot of money from people of the city of Houston to make them believe. Make them believe.
Texas, so they're gonna get tickets from idiots anyway. People who have no time on their hands are gonna still buy tickets to go watch that atrocious whatever that
Pee-wee football we call. There. All right, let's get to the comment section right quick. Jason says, not at all when it comes to Urban Meyer getting fired this season. Christine says, won't even be fired during the season. He also says, of course, Jason says he doesn't get fired. Christine says, I agree with Ish when it comes to him being able to complete this first season. KC says, I'm with Ish. Christine also says, I feel like because he's not already an NFL coach, he gets a longer leash, which I can definitely understand and agree with you as well, Christine, on that one. But with Urban Meyer, he's a different person. That is all. KC, this team, he says this team was garbage last year. Why would it change after one season? Jason says the ceiling is low. Christine also says, see Chip Kelly as in the example being able to be there for at least minimum of 2 or 3 years. Also, Jason says you're going by the preseason on certain things, not everything. KC says Jason Garrett. Jason says Jag and Texans might be battle for first pick. And also KC says good old Bill O'Brien. All righty then. With that being said, we'll go ahead and leave it on that one. 2 great coaches, Mr. Bill O'Brien and Urban Meyer. Alrighty then. So let's go ahead and move forward with what everybody's been waiting for, because I know I definitely have been. Who's on the hot seat for this upcoming NFL season? We're doing this topic for tonight because next week, if y'all tune in, we will definitely be doing the divisional winners for every division, playoff winners, conference championship, and of course our early picks for Super Bowl 56. Alrighty then, Ish. Excuse me, would you like to go first? Because I think your list is very interesting. It's very spread out. I like it. I love it a lot. So let's go ahead and start off with yours. picks 1 through 5. Go ahead, Ish, and talk about what you got.
Yeah, I definitely went a little bit all over the place with my list because, I was just thinking about some things. Obviously, I have a personal vendetta against Andy Dalton and the Chicago Bears. So he is my number one because it doesn't make sense for him to even be there. So I just started out with the obvious, right? Andy Dalton for sure is on the hot seat. He's got to go. I don't even want to talk about him. Number 2, Mike McCarthy. I think that he had a horrible season last season. And I think now with Dak back, you got Zeke, he's healthy. You're going to hope the line is doing better. I definitely think the pressure is on, especially with Hard Knocks there. Jerry Jones coming out and saying that, he'll do anything to win the Super Bowl. He'll put a team together, all this nonsense that you are used to hearing from Jerry Jones. I think when he comes out and he makes a statement like that to everybody out here in the media, Mike McCarthy, if you do not perform this year, you have got to go. Okay, you have got to go. Odell Beckham Jr. That guy for me. I hear some people talking about it. I don't hear enough people talking about it because for me, I think that they should have got rid of him before the season even started. I would have traded him for as much as I could have gotten because OBJ. I mean, Baker Mayfield was totally different after the injury. The last 7 weeks of the season, I mean, he was night and day different. I think he tries to force the ball too much to OBJ. I think that OBJ is demanding the ball. They're trying to run plays through him. And I don't think that OBJ is that. I think that he needs to go. Like, I just think he's on the hot seat. If they don't perform well early in the season, he's probably gone. Get as much as you can. We'll see how that goes. Marquis Brown, that may be a slight surprise for people, but to me, when you go out and you draft Rashad Bateman, and you got some other guys, you bring in Sammy Watkins, I think that's a sign to Hollywood Brown. Now, you got to kind of give him a little bit of leeway because Lamar doesn't really throw to his receivers, right? So there's some leeway there to say, well, Hollywood, you're not a true number one. Lamar doesn't throw to the receivers. Maybe now that we have Bateman, we have Sammy Watkins, we can put you in the slot. You can operate there and create some mismatches. I don't know, but I think if he doesn't perform this season, you could see Hollywood Brown leaving the Ravens. You could see something happening there. I don't think that he'll be there much longer if you're not seeing any improvement from him. He kind of reminds me of a John Ross, right? Like all this hype coming out of college, a lot of speed. Everybody's thinking he's going to do all these things, and then nothing really happens. And then the last guy for me, this one is going to be interesting because I think he is on the hot seat, not necessarily because there's somebody behind him pressuring him, but I think that you will hear it from Atlanta fans, no matter how good Kyle Pitts is. I think Kyle Pitts is a really good pick. I think he's going to be a freak of nature. But to me, if you have Justin Fields come out and perform well for the Chicago Bears, you already see Mac Jones starting for New England. If New England does well with Mac Jones, you may hear it from Atlanta fans about why didn't we go get the quarterback of the future? Why did we continue to ride with Matt Ryan? Even if Matt Ryan's doing all right, if they're not necessarily contending, you got New Orleans who's starting over from Drew Brees. You got Tom Brady, who everybody knows is going to win that division. But then you got Sam Darnold in Carolina. So you're hoping that you make that jump up there. If Matt Ryan isn't really doing what he's supposed to do, I don't know, man. I might just say Atlanta fans are going to be in a little upset that we didn't go out there and get our guy so that, maybe he could step in as Matt Ryan was performing poorly.
All right, that was great takes, Ish. Let me go ahead and get to the comment section right quick, and we'll go over your 5. Jason says Bears GM should not have a job.
I agree.
Casey says OBJ, yes, let's go deal his ass. Jason says they literally got better without OBJ. I'm just saying. Jason also says if Callaway does good, look for the Saints to trade Thomas, aka Michael Thomas. Casey also says fire takes from Ish except for that last one.
Yeah, I know the Matt Ryan one is controversial, especially because they don't really have anybody behind him. But
now I like your picks, honestly, Ish, especially of course obviously, Andy Dalton, and I think the sleeper pick, to be honest with you, is Hollywood Brown. And everybody that's tuning in, go ahead, give us y'all takes for who should be on hot seat this upcoming season. You have one or two, maybe even three players or coaches or executives. Let us know. We will, of course, bring up your response on here on the show. But I'm very interested to hear what everybody else has to say. Ish, like you said, with Hollywood Brown, I look at him as a poor man's Tyreek Hill. He's fast, of course, but unfortunately, I mean, Tyreek Hill catches about 85-90% of his passes, but Hollywood Brown, it's a drop off. It's about a good 70 to 75% he's going to catch the ball. And unfortunately, with him playing in Baltimore, you're not going to get the sunny weather if he was playing Miami or a dome like the Saints or, of course, Arizona. So I don't look at him as a number one. I never have looked at him as a number one. Maybe him getting out of Baltimore might be the best thing for his career at in the back half of his career, to where he does become a number two for somebody, or even a number three to help somebody win a Super Bowl. But being Lamar Jackson's number one or two is just very hard, because you have to consistently be a threat for everything to open up for everybody, because they're such a running team. And they need you, Hollywood, to run that top off and to make explosive plays. And if you're not doing that, it makes the offense stagnant. Because we already know what you're doing. You're going to run the ball, so we stop that and we stop you from going over the top. It's a wrap for the Ravens, right? So I think, like you said, with bringing in Bateman, they're going to have to switch some things up after this upcoming season if things don't work the way that they did. I want to go to this comment because I do love this one, because I am very, very surprised you did not say this. For the last couple of months, if you have tuned in for X Talking Ish, you say you have vendetta against Andy Dalton. No, you really have a vendetta against Mr. Cliff Kingsbury. Why did you not throw him out there on the hot seat? Please let us know.
So let me say this. I love that Jason put that out there, because Cliff Kingsbury was actually my number 5 before I put Matt Ryan there.
Okay.
But I felt like it was too obvious, and I'm always picking on Cliff, and I'm always talking about how Cliff, he's got to perform. Cliff, come on, man. They're making the signings for you. Cliff, what are you doing? Like, I'm always getting on Cliff. So I just felt like, let me go with a dark horse instead of putting Cliff at number 5. But Cliff was definitely my number 5, because I agree. You got to make the playoffs this year if you're Cliff Kingsbury. I would even argue you've got to win in the first round, not just make the playoffs. You got to win in the first round if you're Cliff Kingsbury. They have made some signings for him. They are going out there. They have bought into his system, really. Look at the signings they made. Look at them bringing in AJ Green.
I mean, that's a beautiful signing. I mean, people. Hey, if people want to sleep on AJ Green, that's on y'all. But I think AJ Green is going to have a bounce back year.
He doesn't have to be the guy
at all, and he's going to remind people again who the hell AJ Green is.
I mean, I think that Arizona has done everything in their power to help Cliff Kingsbury and help him to, be successful. So there are no excuses from him. I just don't know. I just don't know, because,
yeah. And that's the problem, like what KC is saying. And I completely 100% agree with KC said. Cliff might have 3 10-win teams in that season. And don't be surprised at all. Look at that division. Could maybe all 4 teams make it in the playoffs this upcoming season? Maybe. We have to.
It's possible, but
wait and see. But that is a very beautiful division to watch on this whole upcoming season.
My one issue with what Casey says about 3 10-win teams. Yes, we know the division is hard. We know that they're going to have all these people. AJ, he may be hurt.
He's not going to get hurt. He's
not
fine.
The guy. He's not the guy, so we don't care anyway. But the thing about that division is, at what point do you stop making excuses about it being the toughest division? Especially when you're making positive moves as far as in free agency and you're trying to back the coach, right? Because my thing is, if they weren't backing the coach, then maybe you say, oh, yeah, there's 3 10-win teams in that division. If you're not making the signings, then maybe you say, oh, well, these other teams got better. We didn't necessarily get better. He's making the best of what he has, right? But when you're backing him and you're making moves that show that you support him in his system, and he's not improving or you're not making that progress, at what point do you say, you know what? We got to try to get someone else in here. And that's the problem I think Cliff has, is Cliff they've been backing you more and more, and you just aren't showing any improvement. You're not showing getting over that hump. So I want to see you get over that hump this year, or else, I think it's time for you to go. Let's bring someone else in. I don't know who you bring in, but
all right, let's get into the comment right quick from Ashton. He says the Saints have won a division 4 times straight, and that defense is one of the best in the league. Definitely agree. But before the Saints actually won it 4 times straight, that division was whoever lost that division and came in last usually was the first place winner. And I don't know why that division was like that for the last 10 years, but with Drew Brees being out, it's Jameis. It's up to Jameis to prove to everybody that the Saints are still here. And we have to wait and see next week on who I pick to win that division, because it might surprise you guys. All right. JC also says Lamar's number 1 is Mark Andrews. I completely agree with that, because his tight end has been his number 1 for the last 4 years of him playing with the Ravens. If they have other options like Bateman or Watkins, maybe he can hit it deep. Jason said the Ravens OC has to get more of a passing game. Jason says they have all the talent. He sucked before this, as in talking about the Cardinals. And of course, KC's talking about Jameis talking about eating those W's, and Winston will be better than people think, as in coming from Jason. I definitely agree with that as well. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight, and we'll talk about my 5 people that I have on the hot seat. Now, if y'all see what mine is not just players. Mine is with players and personnel, and also, of course, front office execs. Just like Ish said, he has a vendetta against Andy Dalton. Well, I feel the exact same way about Urban Meyer. Everybody on the show apparently feels like Urban Meyer won't get fired this upcoming season. Well, I'll be the one to say, yes, he will. He is not Matt Nagy. Yep, Matt Nagy going to do the right thing, okay? Matt Nagy learned in Kansas City. He learned to do the right thing, okay? I'm not worried about Matt Nagy. Urban Meyer, though. Urban Meyer, sir. Number 1. I'm going to leave it at that. Number 2. Mr. Boy Wonder, Mr. 2017, almost MVP. I've never heard so much hype before about a quarterback that almost won an MVP. And people just want to say, oh my God, look how good he was for those 9 games that he almost won an MVP. Okay, with that being said, look, you got what you got. You got what you wanted, Mr. Carson Wentz. You got a fresh start. You get to go back with your quarterback guru, okay? You get everything you want. And guess what? Nothing has changed, because you're already hurt this upcoming season. You're coming back from injury already. So this is all set up for you, Mr. Carson Wentz, to play very, very well, or to play like we expect you to. And y'all keep talking about AJ Green or Julio Jones or whoever to get hurt this upcoming season. JJ Watt. No, we expect Carson Wentz to get hurt. So we'll see what happens with him. Number 2. Number 3. Another boy wonder. Da-da-da-da. Captain America, Kirk Cousins, everybody's favorite quarterback out here in the NFL. The quarterback that probably most overpaid in the NFL, if him or somebody else you want to name out there, but it definitely is Kirk Cousins. He's stealing a lot of Minnesotans hundreds of millions of dollars at this moment by playing so well. If you go look at the numbers last year, he actually played really well, but you play so well that it's still not good enough. And people are still questioning on, do you even bring us to the next level? That's what Minnesotans are questioning to themselves. So, yes, number 3, of course. Yes, Kirk Cousins. He has to be up there. And like you said, Ish, maybe Cam Newton could join. Maybe not. Again, we talked about the vaccine thing. But I'm really looking for Kellen Mond. I'm looking for Kellen Mond to take that starting spot from Kirk Cousins this upcoming season. Wouldn't I be surprised at all if Kirk Cousins to get hurt and we see Kellen Mond step in, and and Kellen Mond will take that spot from Kirk Cousins, and he'll never see that starting spot ever again. All right, time for personnel. Yes, I know you see it on there, number 4. Call me crazy, and that's fine, because we're going to have some crazy talk right now. Mr. Bill Belichick.
You're crazy.
Oh, you know why I am crazy? You want to know why I'm crazy? Because of just what he did just this morning. Just this morning. The reason why I say this is because, okay, we all understand and realize that Cam probably didn't want to be a backup, so he let him go. Okay, that's fine. But you're going to put all of your if we were in Vegas right now, we're going to go all in on Mac Jones, and we're going to hitch our wagon to Mac Jones, and he's going to take us to not the promised land, but just the rebuilding land again. And if that's okay with Bill Belichick, then okay, we'll trust you because he has given us time and time again evidence to say, hey, I've done this, I know what I'm doing. But on the contrary, just last season, we seen one of your players leave and end up taking his team to a Super Bowl, right? Not just taking them there, but also winning a Super Bowl. Mr. Bill Belichick, you have all your players back again. You're with your guy, Mac Jones. I'm not saying that this 1 year is going to change who we see Bill Belichick and he's going to get fired. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying on the hot seat as in, do we agree with, was it Tom Brady or was it Bill Belichick? That's what we have to wait and see. Because right now, it's Tom Brady, 1, Bill Belichick, 0. All right, number 5, everybody's favorite uncle, everybody's favorite rich uncle, Mr. Jerry Jones. Like you said before, Ish, he'll do anything to get back to a Super Bowl. Well, god dang it, it ain't good enough, all right? And Jerry, I know you got a lot of money. I know you got that, you got that oil money that you can pretty sure you inject yourself with some oil, you'll be alive for another 100 more years. And with that being said, you might be able to be around to see your Cowboys go to another Super Bowl. But realistically, in the next 20, about another 10, 20 more years, we're going to have to wait. Cowboys, I don't think y'all going to be able to get there if they're not able to capitalize on what you have with Dak, Zeke, Cooper, Jesus Christ, the other wide receiver, you know what I'm talking about, from Houston.
CeeDee Lamb.
There you go, CeeDee. And if you're not able to capitalize on what you have here with the Cowboys, he might not be able to see his Cowboys get to another Super Bowl before he is unfortunately not here anymore. So, those are my top 5. I'm going to go ahead and go to the comment section because it looks like a lot of people love what I had to say. I mean, I don't know, man.
No one loved what you had to say.
All right. Looks like Christine said, I feel like I created this Carson Wentz hater here. You didn't create anything, ma'am. I'm just spitting out the facts. It is what it is. Casey also says, X just out here picking on unvaxxed guys. Haha. Okay, Christine also says he's protected by the plexiglass. I see. Also, Jason also says Bill should be, but no way. Also, Casey says Mac for Rookie of the Year. Jason says Bill would have to be bad for at least 2 seasons. And again, I'm not talking about being fired. I'm just talking about we are judging Belichick and Tom Brady in different ways. I'm not expecting Bill Belichick to get fired anytime soon. He's going to walk whenever he wants to, and the Patriots will plug and play his coach, most likely with Josh McDaniels. We all know what's going on with New England. Don't even act like this is anything new. Alrighty then. KC says X need a wellness check. Hey, I'm perfectly fine. I'm out here on the West Coast, baby. We good out here.
Yeah,
you've
been. I think you've been hitting some stuff out there because.
Let's just say we out here cripping, baby. We out here cripping. That's all.
Okay.
Let's leave it at that. All right. Anyways, back to Christine says you good, bro. Anyways, we're gonna leave it that alone because obviously y'all not listening and paying attention to what I'm saying. So Ish, go ahead and finish this off tonight.
Let me just talk about your pick. Number 1, we already talked about Urban Meyer and the disagreement we have there. Sam Bradford 2.0. I don't think it's a hot seat for him just yet. I think next year will be the hot seat for him. I think this year he's gonna get a pass regardless of what happens. The only slight thing you might have going for you is that they did make the playoffs with Phillip Rivers. There are high expectations in Indy.
Of course.
They
feel like they have a championship defense too. They don't want to waste that defense.
There might slightly be something there, but I still think they give him this year, and then next year will probably be the hot seat for him, depending on how this year goes. Number 3, I agree. Kirk Cousins is on the hot seat. If he doesn't perform this year, you got to move on from him. I don't agree with the Kellen Mond assessment. I still think he's a little ways away. I don't think if he comes in this year because Kurt is hurt, he lights the world of light. So, but Kurt is on the hot seat regardless of what Kellen Mond does. Bill Belichick, come on, you playing around. Obviously, you've been in California. I know that they got some legal stuff out there, and maybe some of that you've been getting some secondhand of that out here in Cali or something. because Bill Belichick is not on the hot seat. Even if you want to say, oh, he's not on the hot seat for being fired, but he's on the hot seat for how we assess Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick,
That's
who
what I'm speaking of.
was the mastermind. I don't even think so, because last year can't count. Cam Newton does not fit that system.
Okay,
Cam
so
Newton
I have a question.
good.
Do we look at it the same way as LeBron winning a championship in the bubble and him not winning outside of the bubble?
What do you mean?
Well, what I'm saying is, because does it count for Brady that he won one, but it don't count for Belichick because he didn't?
Yeah.
Perform?
It counts for Brady that he won one, but it doesn't count for Belichick because Cam Newton's not the guy. We all knew Cam wasn't the guy. We knew Cam wasn't the person for that
So
system.
that last year was his mulligan.
Yeah, last year was his mulligan. I think this year you even still give him a slight pass because it's a rookie quarterback. Even with all the chatter about him being the baby goat, or it feels like Tom Brady never left, I still think at the end of the day it's a rookie quarterback, so he's going to get somewhat of a slight pass. Now, going into next year and the year after that, if they continue to perform poorly and the defense opted out, that's a good point, Casey.
Yes, I do remember.
So if they continue to perform poorly, going into next year, the year after that, then yeah, I think we're going to start talking about it was really Brady carrying that team and not so much of Bill Belichick. So that's the only reason why I disagree. I think it's too early to say he's on the hot seat as far as that conversation. And then your last one, Jerry Jones. Okay, you're really on some drugs. Now I don't think it's secondhand. I think you've been going to the dispensaries and buying some stuff, because that one is outrageous. You are out of this world for saying Jerry Jones is on the hot seat. Jerry Jones is not going to put himself on the hot seat. Cowboy fans, either you have been with Jerry or you've always been against Jerry. But either way, Jerry Jones is not on the hot seat, because I don't think any people outside of Cowboy fans believe the Cowboys are competing for a Super Bowl this year. So
Cowboys gonna compete for Super Bowl every year, even when they go 3-13.
Even though he's come out and he said that he'll do anything to get back to the Super Bowl, everybody realizes they still got a little ways to go. They got more pieces that they got to fill. They got more things they got to do. I don't think Mike McCarthy is the guy for the job, obviously. So I think Jerry Jones, he's gonna have all the time in the world until he dies. He's gonna have all the time in the world to sit there and play chess or whatever he plays with his organizational moves. At least he's still better than the organization here in Houston.
That organization shall not to be named on this show. And with that being said, let's go ahead and wrap it up with tonight. Our week in advance fantasy football league draft. We're going to let everybody know, of course, we have our draft next Tuesday, 7 o'clock, right before the show. So, of course, if you are in this league, we have a couple people that are tuning in right now that is in this league. Don't forget, the draft is next Tuesday, 7 o'clock Central Time. The cool thing, of course, about this draft is, besides it being a regular fantasy league, it is called a dynasty mode, which means that when you draft these players, they stay with you from year 2, year 3, year 4. So you really do become a general manager of your fantasy football league. At the moment, all spots are taken on X Fantasy Football League, but we will definitely let y'all know when a spot is available, maybe next year or the year after that. But at the moment, we will, of course, throughout the season, let everyone know what's going on in the Fantasy Football League that we have going on. And, of course, week by week updates for every week pretty much. So, hey, we are here. One more week until the official week 1 of the NFL season, and it seemed like it was just yesterday. We was wrapping up Super Bowl 55, and Tom Brady was holding up that trophy, and we are just 1 week away from NFL football. How you feel, Ish?
Man, I'm feeling good. I'm excited. I can't wait. Man, the season just needs to get started. I was disappointed it wasn't starting this week. Why do we have to have a whole week off before? I mean, it's so close yet so far away.
You can watch that high school football with IMG and Bishop Sycamore. You can go ahead and watch that real football.
They're imposters.
Man, look, when I seen the fallout from all that stuff on the internet, oh my goodness, we're just gonna go ahead and end the show on that before our show gets taken away for being a fake show or something like that. We're good. I promise you, we are both real. This is a real show. And you can go ahead. You can go ahead and fact check us as well. Appreciate you as always, KC, and appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Of course, we'll see everybody. I'll be back in Houston next week. We'll see everybody next week at 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern.
Division leaders, recap of the fantasy draft. I mean,
and also
it's
Super Bowl picks. Super Bowl picks next week. We'll see y'all next week. Thank y'all very much for